All right. I can't believe I can't. All right, let's watch.
Eliza Bleu. That name, Eliza Bleu, has been trending all over Twitter really for the last 2 weeks. And it's earned my attention. I would like to discuss her and tell you why it's an important story that you may not be paying attention to. So that's what we'll be getting into today as an installment in the Friday Files of Candace Owens. All right, so her name is Eliza Bleu. At least that's her name today. That's her name this decade. She's gone by a lot of different names.
Okay, so Candace is taking the Blair White approach to this video. Guys, if you did not see the video I did completely debunking basically every lie that Blair White told about Eliza Bleu, it's an hour and 15 minutes because in a 20-minute video, Blair White told so many lies about Eliza Bleu that it took me an hour and 15 minutes to debunk all of them. And the very first lie that Blair White told was, Eliza Bleu has just had so many different names, and I just don't know how you keep track of all the names she had. And looks like Candace Owens is following suit. That's just great.
Which should already flag you as odd. She's Eliza Bleu today. She's been Eliza Knows. She's been Eliza Seep. She's been Eliza Morthland, which is, as I said, very strange. And before we get into the story, I do want to thank a lot of the YouTubers out there, because in piecing this together, I relied on a lot of their information, and they've been covering this for a while and sort of waiting.
So Candace Owens' version of journalism is, I watched videos from YouTubers, and this is how, guys, this is how we do journalism at the Daily Wire. We watch videos from clout-chasing, grifting YouTubers, and those are our sources for our expert-level journalism at the Daily Wire.
For this to be taken on in a bigger capacity. So the Quartering was covering the story. Brittany Venti was covering the story, and she's subsequently had her account suspended. DeFango, he runs something called the Griftcast, which is, by the way, an excellent name, was covering the story.
Yes,
Blair White covered the story.
Candace,
I watched everyone's videos. And so I do just want to credit YouTubers. A lot of time YouTubers.
So exactly, Candace watched the video that I completely debunked without trying very hard. Candace obviously didn't watch my debunking of Blair White's video. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't be coming across as a raging jackass already. But she watched Blair White's video. She took notes on Blair White's video, in which Blair White lied through almost the entire fucking video. Blair White was my main source for my expert journalism on Eliza Bleu. Thank you, Blair, for your service.
Find these stories, and then the stories get bigger and nobody ever credits them. And because I started on YouTube, it's important for me to credit those people. So this individual began trending, and I will tell you why the story matters. The story matters because this individual purports to be a sex trafficking victim. Not only does this individual purport to be a sex trafficking victim, it is basically their claim to any exposure.
How much do you want to bet? See, I was supposed to not talk during this, but obviously that plan's going out the window. How much do you want to bet that Candace Owens didn't bother to read Shane Cashman's reporting on this, and that Shane Cashman will not be cited or discussed in any way in this clip? I would bet all the money in my bank account that Candace Owens didn't bother to read Shane Cashman's in-depth profiles on the whole thing because she was too busy watching Blair White's hit piece. Excellent, Daily Wire. Way to go.
Their claim to fame is having been a sex trafficking victim who is going out there and doing the hard work. Because imagine you live through sex trafficking and maybe you want to dedicate the rest of your life to making sure that no other individual suffers it. Now, for me personally, why is this story important to cover? Because sex trafficking matters. I have been passionate about all of these anti-trafficking efforts ever since I met Tim Ballard. You guys know that in a personal capacity, I give to Operation Underground. Because when I sat with him and he really explained to me what these victims go through, what some of these victims go through, and he actually adopted 2 children after rescuing them from Haiti, at the ages of 2 and 3. You imagine a hurricane takes place in Haiti, and it's an opportunity for human sex traffickers to descend into chaos and to take children and to sell them.
To be very clear, none of these people care about these issues. These people pretend to care about these issues because it is a story that their audience will latch onto and read about. And I'm not saying these stories aren't important. They are important. They are important stories. But that doesn't mean that these people care about the issues because of the issues. They're just creating content that will outrage people. That's it. And actually, Shane Cashman's article is going to talk about this. So this is actually good that we're watching this before reading Shane Cashman's article, because he's going to talk about this. He's going to talk about how this is all just done to drum up outrage, and that's it. Kate, for a bag or 2 of Ricola. Kate, I think I might actually have some Ricola in my office. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to look around for that while we're watching the video.
To be trafficked across the world. He is also a big reason why I am adamantly against pornography and the effects that it has on our humanity, and my understanding that many of the people that perform in these porn videos could potentially be sex trafficked. They have found victims of sex trafficking on Pornhub.
Oh, really? Oh, really, Candace? You don't say. You don't say. Are you suggesting that people who perform in sexually explicit videos that look consensual, that eventually make their way onto the internet, are you suggesting that some of those people are actually trafficked when they're in those videos, even though the videos might look consensual? You don't say, Candace. Really?
And so this has become a passion of mine. But notice that I say that I'm passionate about this and I donate to the cause and I expose these issues. I don't claim to be a sex trafficking victim myself. Because to support these issues, you don't have to pretend to be a sex trafficking victim. That would be a very odd thing to do. More than odd. That's not even a strong enough adjective. It would be a demented thing to do. You'd be a very sick individual if you pretended to be a sex trafficking victim because it got you attention.
Candace, what is it called when an influencer with millions of followers falsely accuses a real victim of human trafficking of lying? Would you say that's called demented? What would you say it's called when an influencer with millions of followers does her homework by watching YouTube videos of people engaging in a smear campaign and then calling a real victim of human trafficking demented and a liar? What would you say that's called, Candace?
And it got you in touch with the right people. So that is why this issue matters, because people are claiming that Eliza Bleu,
I agree, Bonnie,
who claims to be a sex trafficking
victim, is not defamation.
One. In fact, they claim that she is
that's a pretty good descriptor.
Who has been involved in the sex industry willingly in her pursuit for fame and has failed to become famous for decades. She's now in her 40s. And then finally she realizes that if she says she's a sex trafficking victim and she tweets at Elon Musk, she can get attention. And that's happened. She has a relationship or had a relationship with Elon Musk, and she has helped to...
She has no relationship with Elon Musk except that he was in a Twitter space one time. This has already been discussed. Candace is lying.
Influenced Twitter decisions pertaining to sex trafficking. She is now, and this is another reason why it matters, using sex trafficking to essentially erase her past, a very shady past that anybody should have the ability to ask her questions regarding. Imagine if you work at a company and you get a legal letter from someone saying, oh, that video of me twerking in a video, you can't use that video of me twerking in rap videos because I was sex trafficked during that time. That there's a bigger issue going on here. Well, people are...
And isn't it funny that Candace is saying this literally just like a minute and a half after she said, you know, sometimes videos end up on the internet that in which people are being trafficked in the videos, and that's really bad and horrible. But Eliza Bleu obviously couldn't be one of those people.
Are obviously going to pull down the video. They're not going to ask for the questions. It's not worth the legal headache. And she is having YouTubers' accounts suspended for talking about her history, right? So people are getting hit with strikes. People are getting hit with suspensions on Twitter. Brittany Venti her account has been frozen. She's in some temporary lock. I don't know if it's temporary or permanent on Twitter because she raised valid questions regarding the history of this Eliza Bleu. So let's get into it because I have, as you guys know, great contempt for women who lie. I don't like women who lie about their history.
I don't like women who lie either, Candace. I don't like women who claim to do journalism by referencing grifters on YouTube who they themselves did no journalism. I don't like women who lie either. I think that women who lie, particularly about victims of human trafficking, when they didn't even bother to do the basic level of fact checking and they work for one of the biggest conservative media outlets on the planet, I don't like those women either, Candace. You and I can agree on that. Now, we might disagree on which category you fall into, Candace. I suspect we won't come to agreement on that.
I don't like women who pretend to be victims of abuse because they're ashamed of things that they potentially did in their past. And it's happening a little too often. We're expanding definitions. So we used to understand what sex trafficking was. We used to understand that it had to include some element of coercion, right? You have to be coerced to perform these sex acts. It's unusual then that a individual who always was in contact with her parents, was very close with her two parents, as Eliza Bleu was, then Eliza Morthland, an individual who went back to her parents' farm, an idyllic childhood. She was born in 1981. She grew up homeschooled on a farm in Illinois. This is not your standard sex trafficking story. It's very weird that she, with the consent of her parents, moves to LA, Los Angeles.
Again, I'm going to say this for people. Kids move to Los Angeles all the time. If you have never been to Los Angeles, in Hollywood, in like the main like street in Hollywood, and I know this because I used to do a lot of work with clients in Hollywood. And so on the main and so I just used to go there a lot. And so on the main street in Hollywood, there are all these hotels that are specifically for like parents who are bringing their kids to Hollywood to get them into the industry. So, like 17 to go to Hollywood, there are people who go to Hollywood much younger than 17. And I'm not suggesting this is good. I don't think it's personally a good idea. But where do you think all the child actors come from? Where do you think all the child models come from? People are desperate to have their kids be famous, and there are people who want to be famous. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be famous. Candace herself wants to be famous. She desperately wants to be famous. So while I don't think it's personally a good idea I don't think it was a good idea that Eliza went to Hollywood at 17, and obviously that turned out really badly for her. What I want people to understand is that it's not, oh God, that Ricola was such a good idea. That helps so much. It's magic what you can do with a cough drop. What I want people to understand is that it is an extremely common thing. It is not out of the ordinary. It happens every single day. And so Candace is going to try to make it seem like an out of the ordinary thing, but it is not an out of the ordinary thing.
After high school. And this is the first time that she tells a story when she goes back into her childhood and says that she was sex trafficked. So let's hear her. This is her on a past podcast describing the first incident in which she was sex trafficked. Take a listen.
So before I turned 18, my father drove me out to Los Angeles with the small amount of possessions that I owned. When I got to Los Angeles, within 48 hours, I was addicted to a drug that I only know is ice. I don't know what it was. This is quite a while ago because now I'm 39 years old. So back then I was 17. So I don't know what it was, but it started off with the famous musician offering me a couple beers. I wanted to be cool. I wanted to fit in. I didn't really know any better. I hadn't come from an environment where drinking and drugs were a part of my history. And after I had had a little bit of cocktails, then the drugs were offered. I was under the influence, and then the serious grooming started.
That aligns with every single thing that she told Shane Cashman in part 2 of that article. Everything that Eliza just said completely aligns with what Shane Cashman said in part 2 of his article. That she moved, and by the way, she met the person that trafficked her, I think 2 years prior to when she actually moved out to Hollywood. So it's not as though they just, I'm trying to recollect the details of the article, but I'm fairly certain that she had met him prior to that. And then she moved out to Hollywood. She did give the name to Shane Cashman. She told Shane Cashman who trafficked her in Hollywood. He didn't reveal it in his article, but what he did say is that he did a boat ton of research about where this person has lived in the past, their addresses, things like that. And what he found is that the person that Eliza said trafficked her in Hollywood lived 3 minutes away from the apartment that Eliza was living in when she moved to Hollywood. So she literally lived basically right next to this person. Now, that could be a coincidence, but that's one heck of a coincidence. And remember, Eliza's mother has the hospital bills from when Eliza got raped and overdosed and was in the hospital. Eliza's mother has all of this, and Shane Cashman has seen all of it. Let's see if Candace is going to bring any of that up.
The gentleman who promised me the world ended up selling me after a couple days. I remember it clearly. I was sold
Shane
for
Cashman talks about that in the article.
To a very older gentleman in the hills, the Hollywood Hills. And this gentleman ran I don't know
happens
really
all
what
the
to call
time.
it.
It's not out of the ordinary.
Definitely it was a trafficking ring. It was a prostitution trafficking ring for transgender folks. And so that was basically the ultimate beginning of the end, was when I was sold to that guy.
So she describes that as one incident in which she was sold. She has no proof that the incident took place. She says
that is completely incorrect. She does have proof she gave to the real journalist, Shane Cashman. Candace is lying again. Reagan said, this specific part was discussed in Carlin's Zoom with Eliza. I remember it. Eliza came and did a private Zoom call with my locals in which she discussed this as well. Thank you for bringing that up, Reagan. So Candace saying that there's no proof is a outright lie. What's that? Lie number 37, and we're only 8 minutes into this video.
She had a drug overdose around this exact same time. And she tells a journalist just, I think, last week that she had a drug overdose. She called her parents. The hospital called her parents. They picked her up, brought her back to the Illinois farm. And she stayed in the farm for 1 week.
Oh, so she's basically saying how Candace referenced Shane Cashman's article is, Eliza told some journalist last week that maybe she had a drug overdose, but... So she hasn't even mentioned Shane. Candace was very quick to mention the names of all the YouTubers who were smearing Eliza for weeks. Very quick to mention them. But as soon as it comes to the journalist who did the in-depth profile on Eliza, Candace is like, oh yeah, I mean, some journalist just went and talked to her and, he's just some guy, probably lied, probably covering up for her. Isn't that nice of her?
And then she went right back to LA. Now, call me crazy. You get sex trafficked, you have a drug overdose, and your parents come and you end up back on your farm in Illinois.
She didn't go right back to LA. That's not the truth. Which Candace would know if she'd actually read the article. She did not go back to LA. She stayed at home for a long time. She was really fucked up after that. After an extended period of time at home, she did eventually go back to LA because all of her stuff was in LA still. But she didn't just jump on a plane and go right back to LA like Candace is making it seem. She's lying again.
Odd behavior to then get right back into it. But you see, she talks about the fact that she had a boyfriend, right? And so the way that she, in each incident, because she's going to say she got sex trafficked only one other time later, she admits that these were relationships that she had, right? And she's kind of recasting these relationships. And what sounds to me, she admits that she was a drug addict, and she sounds to me like she's been a drug addict for decades.
Yes.
That these individuals maybe got her to escort her.
Yes, Candace, that's exactly right. When she was in these abusive relationships with these sex traffickers, they fed her drugs. That's the way this works, Candace. She was in abusive relationships with sex traffickers, and they got her hooked on drugs because that is an easy way to control someone. You absolute raging fucking moron.
Herself, okay? Now let's move on. So that's around 1999. She moves to when she's around 18 years old. She says she's underage. There's no proof of that. Somebody looked into her record. She was 18 years old when she got an apartment. I don't even know how you would be able to get an apartment in LA if you were not actually 18 years old. I don't think that they're giving apartments to 17-year-olds.
That's not the truth.
But she moves to LA.
Lie.
She is trying to become famous. And the next time she pops up on the radar is in 2002. So she's around 21 years old, and she tries out for Blind Date. You guys remember that show where they would get two people and they would say, oh, you're going to go on a blind date today. And they would describe who they were to the camera. Here is Eliza, around the age of 21 years old, trying out for Blind Date.
Now, Eliza lives a rock and roll lifestyle. She says she's pretty exciting, but she still has problems when it comes to men.
I'm self-seeking, self-centered, and fear-based. And I have high expectations. As far as sex goes, sometimes they ask me, like, were you faking? Was that real? And I'm like, about the hair. It was black one. And it was blue and pink. I think it can be really sexy. And it just takes a certain type of guy to appreciate it.
So
because Eliza was on a reality show one time, that means that nothing she says is true. Now, what Candace wants you to ignore here is that Candace got her start in her career by starting a doxing website. I have a lot more forgiveness for a young kid auditioning to be on a stupid reality show than I do for someone pretending to be a journalist at the Daily Wire who got their career started by starting a doxing website and raising money to dox people on the internet, which is what Candace Owens did. I don't know, which crime do you guys think is worse? Being on a stupid reality show when you're a kid? Or raising money to start a doxing website and then calling yourself a real journalist, even though the only journalism you do is on YouTube?
Sexualizing herself? Did her pimp boyfriend make her do that? Did she make her try out and go on a blind date on a show and to say things about how she is in
Eliza
bed? I don't know.
Said she did.
Doesn't really
Candace.
seem like a victim to me in there, but
Eliza
who knows?
has
Who
never
knows?
Said
There
that
can be all
happens.
sorts of weird
You're
victim
making that
circumstances. She's
up.
not pretending, by the way, that she was sex trafficked during this period.
Right.
Because it was an
You're
isolated
making
incident
shit
that
up.
we just went over. But that didn't stop her from being in LA and hitting the party scene. So that's in 2002, and she's around 21.
So Candace is now saying that a young girl in LA can't hit the party scene? All right. That's some purity test, Candace.
Then we see her pop up again in 2005. So she's around 24, 25 years old, and she's still in this rock and roll emo phase. Around this time, she gains a cosmetology license in LA. She starts styling musicians. I'm putting that in air.
She wasn't in LA when she was styling musicians. She was back home. I forget exactly where she was. It wasn't, I don't think it was, it might have been Illinois. It might have been like Wisconsin. She was back home when she was styling musicians. And I know this because Shane Cashman wrote about it in his article that I actually read, unlike Candace.
Quotations here, because she really begins dating Gerard Way, who is the singer of My Chemical Romance. You guys remember My Chemical Romance? I still run to their music. Really fun music. This is her email phase, and they're dating, and all of the My Chemical Romance fans hate her. They say that she's a stalker. They say that she is just in it for the fame.
Iowa,
and
thank you.
Why would that be true? I mean, a girl moves to LA for what other reasons in Los Angeles, but no. She really loves him. They break up, and she goes on to write fan fiction about My Chemical Romance after.
She's following Blair White's script. Candace Owens is literally following Blair White's script. Candace, did Blair deliver you her script? Did Blair just say, Candace, just follow these talking points? This worked for me, Candace. This will obviously work for you. Did you have an intern watch Blair White's video and just copy everything? Is that what happened here? Yeah, exactly. Oh no, not fan fiction. Oh my word. Clutch our pearls. Why don't we? No, Candace has obviously never listened to My Chemical Romance because it's fun music. Is not exactly what I would use to excuse me. Again, sorry, cold. It's really fun. It's not exactly the words I would use to describe My Chemical Romance. I mean, it's not like not fun, I guess, but they're a fucking emo band, Candace. God, these idiots. Naruto, Candace Owens literally could have told someone on her show, you read the Shane Cashman. Yes, exactly. Candace Owens could have delegated someone to read the fucking Shane Cashman articles and take notes. Yeah, My Chemical Romance is emo pop at best.
Their breakup. Again, this sounds to me like a girl who would have done anything for fame, but don't let me give you my judgment about it. Let's fast forward to 2010, where she appears and she tries out, and now she's 29 years old. This is not a kid. This is not a kid that's being manipulated. This is a full adult person that is running the gamut through Hollywood, trying to become famous. She tries out for American Idol. Okay. She doesn't make it. She doesn't become famous on American Idol. So she's tried singing. She's tried being the girlfriend of. She's tried blind date. She's trying the reality circuits. None of this is working out for her. A couple of years later, she's now in her 30s. Okay. She's the same age as me. She's in her early 30s, from about 30 to 33 years old. She admits that she's low on money. She admitted this in an interview, and that she was having difficulty. She had moved to Chicago during this period. She was having difficulty affording rent and at her Wicker Park apartment. Okay, so she's low on cash. We know that she drinks. We know that she does drugs. And she decides to try to get a job as a cocktail waitress at a strip club. But while she was at this interview asking to be a cocktail waitress, she says that they instead said, hey, why don't you try to dance? And she was like, oh, yeah, good idea. And she gets up and she tries out as a dancer and she becomes a stripper. So again, I'd like to be clear. She's in her early 30s. She's my age right now. So don't let her make you think that she's removed as innocent.
She actually talked about being a stripper in Shane Cashman's article. She wasn't saying she was trafficked when she was a stripper, Candace. What she is, and she only stripped 3 times, by the way. It wasn't like a lifelong profession. She 3 times. This was all detailed in Shane Cashman's article. No, actually, no. I'm going to take that back. She was doing it for longer, but it got really hard because it got to be winter and stuff like that. Anyway, she is not saying that she was trafficked when she was a stripper, Candace. She is saying that she met the person who trafficked her when she was a stripper, which, can we all just acknowledge that it is not out of the realm of possibility that someone might meet a person that would go on to traffic them in a strip club. It seems to me that of all the places where people who are going to traffic other human beings might hang out and try to pick up new victims, it seems to me that a strip club would be like ground zero for where that could take place. So she is not insinuating, as Candace is trying to make it seem, that Eliza Bleu was trafficked when she was a stripper. What Eliza said is that she met the person who trafficked her while she was a stripper at the strip club. Jen, thank you for the super chats. People keep bringing up Eliza's aliases, and her change of accent comes off desperate, like, look at me, pay no attention to her, as though they're trying to dissuade you from the real issues. That's exactly what they're trying to do. They're trying to Candace is like, she was a stripper, as though people who are strippers can't be trafficked. Jen also says, which is the Twitter censorships, which I'm not a fan of, and Eliza did that, and the big issue of sex trafficking. Again, I'm going to say this. I no longer care that she did that. because the reason they're pulling the video down is because it was made when she was being trafficked. And I'm sorry, people can have all the feelings they want about this. But if that video was really made, as I do believe it is, when she was being trafficked and she was drugged up to do it and she wasn't aware of what was going on at the time because she was drugged up to do it because she was being controlled by a fucking human trafficker, I want that video off the internet. So I no longer care. People are getting their panties in a wad. No one's gotten permanently banned over this. They've gotten permanently banned over other things. They haven't gotten permanently banned over this.
Child. This is a girl that has spent her entire life trying to become famous. How do we know this? Well, a woman actually spoke out to the Daily Beast who knew her. She claims that
Nope, that woman did not know her. So Candace, again, is doing expert journalism. Candace is actually purporting that the Daily Beast is an accurate publication that we should all be listening to. Now, if she had read Shane Cashman's article, what she would have found out is the woman that was in the Daily Beast wasn't even friends with Eliza, which is what I said happened like days ago. She wasn't even friends with Eliza. She pretended to be friends with Eliza so that her name could appear in the Daily Beast. And Murphy's Pool, goddamn right, I was an emo chick. I'm still a fucking emo chick today. Have you seen my hair? I know you can't see it right now because I'm wearing a hat, but I'm wearing a checkerboard hat. So, I mean, what more do you want? I just love these conservative influencers all of a sudden acting like the Daily fucking Beast is the bastion of perfect, credible journalism.
were friends, and that during that time, and she's shocked that she's pretending that she was sex trafficked. She says during that time, she even tried to get me to be an escort.
Wrong.
Carly Wentzel spoke out to the Daily Beast, and she said, quote, Eliza was absolutely loving it. She was bragging about it, saying she was making so much money. She also went on to say that Eliza's a very powerful, very smart, intelligent woman. I will not discredit her for that. She knows exactly what she's doing. Well, of course.
Carly Wetzel was specifically mentioned in the Shane Cashman article as being someone that Eliza barely knew. Carly Wetzel was friends with a friend of Eliza's. She was not friends with Eliza. Eliza didn't know her. She's lying.
Now, Eliza denies this. Eliza says this simply isn't true. This is actually the second time that I was sex trafficked. You know, I was making good money at the strip club, but then it was winter time and people were not coming in as much at the strip club.
Wait. It kind of sounds like Candace Owens is now rehashing what was in Shane Cashman's article, because that right there was literally in Shane Cashman's article. So she keeps referencing back to the parts of Shane Cashman's article that are convenient for her to reference, but she is simultaneously ignoring the parts of Shane Cashman's article that directly debunk what she is saying. In the same paragraph, maybe not the same paragraph, but the same section of the article that Shane Cashman was writing about how things got slow at the strip club in winter, he talks about the fact that Carly Wetzel was not really a friend of Eliza's. It's in the exact same fucking space in the article. Candace is ignoring that because it's not convenient to the story she's trying to paint, but she's accepting parts of that article. Isn't that funny? Almost like she's lying and painting a narrative.
Because it's Chicago, you know, it's cold. People are not really coming into the strip club. And she was having trouble affording her fee. There was a house fee for $250 at the strip club. So she meets a guy who she says is an NBA star, an athlete. And he somehow got her to sex traffic her stuff again. But once again, she claims that this was her boyfriend. I'm going to read you, because she gave an interview about this, exactly what she says about this. So the journalist asks her, when do you meet the man you say trafficked you? Outside the strip club.
Like I said.
And you won't name this guy either? She's
reading from Shane Cashman's article. She is fucking reading from Shane Cashman's article right now. Has not said Shane Cashman's name once, has not said Timcast once. Candace is purposefully deflecting where she's getting this information from because she's purposefully ignoring parts of this article that are not convenient to the story she's telling. Candace, this is fucking disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself, you absolute fucking grifter.
Going to happen right now. I have to ask why. I can't, she said. You know I need to ask why. Like, are they still a threat to you, or is this for legal reasons again? If you told me the guy's name, I could look him up and uncover what's there, if anything. She made it clear once again that she wasn't going to name names. Are you afraid of retribution? I feel feelings of fear. She made it sound as though this person, whoever it was, knew this address, knew where to find her, her parents, and has made certain threats. Yeah, I'm going to pause there and let you know that this seems to be her routine thing, that when there's something that you could actually verify in her story, she basically says, I can't tell you anything at all. Like,
so Candace is ignoring the first part of Shane Cashman's article where Eliza did give Shane Cashman the name of the first person who trafficked her, and Shane Cashman did research into that person and found out that he lived really effing close to where Eliza did in Hollywood at the same time. Candace has ignored that whole part because she wants to make it seem like Eliza has just never named names. She would never do that. She's lying. Obviously, she's lying because she refuses to name names. When she named names in the article that Candace is literally reading, literally in front of her right now, Candace is choosing to ignore that because Eliza did not give Shane Cashman the name of this person, which, by the way, she's not obligated to. I'm going to be the first person to say that it would probably be much more convenient for the internet and for all of these fucking conservative grifters if Elijah gave up the name of the person. It would probably be much more convenient for her as well. Except that we don't know the reasons that she won't give it up. We don't know if she really feels like she's in danger from this person. We don't know if this person could sue her for, defamation or any other, number of things. If she says his name ends up in the media, and then she can't back up what happened with proof because oftentimes there's no proof in these situations. We don't know the reasons that she's not giving up the name. We have no idea. And Eliza owes us nothing. She doesn't owe us anything. Think she'll also ignore the part where this is an active legal case? Oh, I'm going to bet she's going to ignore that part. Yeah, I will. Jen says, Dr. K, anything happens with that Daily Wire lady who slung a W at Eliza? This is still living under my skin, and I'm upset another woman went and used that word on another woman. Oh, no, nothing's going to happen to her. I emailed the Daily Wire. I did. I fucking sent the press office at the Daily Wire an email, and I basically said, how do you feel about your reporter calling a victim of human trafficking a whore? Do you condone your reporter calling victims of human trafficking whores? Do you condone your reporter calling women whores in general? Is this the type of behavior that we should expect of Daily Wire reporters? Does the Daily Wire support cancel culture? I sent them an email. Let's just see if they've answered it yet. Let's see. Nope. Daily Wire has not responded to my inquiry to them about their reporter calling Eliza Bleu a whore publicly. Isn't that nice of them?
I've only been sex trafficked 2 times, but I can't tell you any details. I didn't go to the police. There's no one that can verify anything.
She did go to the police,
I'm not going to tell
Candace.
you about these rings because I'm so afraid for my life.
That's wrong. In the article that Shane Cashman wrote, Eliza literally talks about going to the police. She did go to the police, Candace. The police didn't fucking help her.
This is very bizarre to me. You've now, quote unquote, made it. Your friends are friendly with Elon Musk. People are coming.
She's not friends with Elon Musk. Shane Cashman specifically reported that she is not friends with Elon Musk. Elon Musk never followed her on Twitter. That was a lie that they made up. That if anyone has any proof that Elon Musk ever followed Eliza Bleu on Twitter, post it right now. Honestly. Does anyone have any direct proof? Did anyone get a screenshot? Did anyone get a video? Is there any evidence at all that Elon Musk ever followed Eliza Bleu on Twitter? Because there were videos from the quartering specifically, but I'm sure from others too, saying Elon Musk disavows Eliza Bleu. And then he's like, Elon Musk unfollowed her on Twitter. But did he ever follow her in the first place? Eliza says that he never followed her, and there's no evidence that he ever did.
To you as if you are an expert on sex trafficking. and you're not going to try to help save some more victims. You're saying if this person has a platform, if this person is a famous person, and you're not going to try to help potential other victims. This is how she describes the man. She says that he was, quote, good looking, charismatic, wealthy. I thought we were dating. But now, in retrospect, it was not dating. It escalated quickly. No trafficker is going to say to you, like, I'm going to traffic you now. That's not a thing that happens. I mean, it can happen, I suppose, in some cases when you're talking about trafficking. You can't really make broad, sweeping strokes like that, but that's not how my story went down. If you listen to the story of so many survivors, that's not how their stories go down either. I thought that we were developing a relationship, but he was grooming me to traffic me. You've said this person was high status. He was an athlete, not a household name. And by the way, this is not rare. Athletes have been arrested for trafficking. Former athletes have been arrested for trafficking. I'm not trying to dog out athletes, but like, this is not rare, she said. So you get it. She's saying essentially there's some famous athlete and that he trafficked her, but she can't give the name because she's afraid for her life. And it's interesting that this athlete trafficked her during a time, because just, during the time when she's being trafficked, she also goes on to do a ton of rap music videos. In fact,
Candace, so you're suggesting, Candace, that at the same time that Eliza said that she was being trafficked by this person, that she was in sexually suggestive hip-hop videos? I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I'm sure it's just a coincidence.
One of them, I'd like to show you, she was on World Star Hip Hop, where she is shaking her ass like a hoe. It's the only way that you can possibly say it. She's not naked. We should be allowed to show.
It is the policy of the Daily Wire to call women whores. We have the second example today, ladies and gentlemen. Not only did Christina Buttons call Eliza Bleu a whore on Twitter this morning, Candace Owens has now called Eliza Bleu a whore in her podcast. So maybe it is the policy of the Daily Wire to call women whores. I'm really glad we had this clarification. Daily Wire, I'm going to follow up with you right now, because now we have a second example of an employee of yours calling a woman a whore, like the good conservatives you are. So it kind of seems like maybe this is just something that happens at the Daily Wire. Who would have thunk it? They're such good conservatives. They're such good God-fearing conservatives, whether they're Jewish or Christian. They're such good God-fearing people that establish moral purity tests for everyone around them. And because they are so morally pure and perfect, it is perfectly fine for their staff members to call women who have been victims of human trafficking a whore. That's nice.
I'll show you this video, but and this is in her 30s. Again, she's in her 30s. This is a full adult woman shaking her ass like a hoe. But we can't show it to you because if we show it to you, it's going to get flagged on YouTube, because I guess she's got some legal team pretending that she's a human sex trafficking video and that it wasn't done consensually. What we can show you, however, are all of the various rap music videos that she was doing at this time when she was being sex trafficked, allegedly. Take a look.
Feeling myself, got that liquor in my cup, and I'm all the way turned up. I be feeling myself.
I just followed my heart and you in the location. I got a million ways to love you, you're so gorgeous. I want to make you feel special. Hey, I got a million ways to love.
They left with me, yep, every hoe they brought. She got them for that bag, she do what she taught. That is a weapon when it come to thoughts.
Not the only thing she was doing during that time, by the way, guys. She also had an appearance on the Steve Harvey show in 2012, where Tyra Banks judged her for her performance of her shaking her butt. Here's a clip of her, by the way, on the Steve Harvey show, shaking her booty.
Hi.
Well, both of them will get you a car, that's for sure.
I love it. So 1,
1, 2, 3. Gucci Tooch. Oh, look, girl, you got it in the middle. You working it. You are working the Gucci
Booty was
Tooch.
ready.
Yeah.
You've been shaking.
Oh my God. Oh my God. She did a pose on Steve Harvey. Then she must not be a victim of sexual trap. Guys, Candace has just broken the case. Everything that has ever happened in Eliza Blue's life up until this point, like that, you know, we're just going to ignore everything because she was on the Steve Harvey show and she did a pose where she tooched her ass. And really, that's all that matters. That is the ultimate proof. It's almost like, you know what it's almost like? It's almost like they're trying to distract you from what the real questions are.
Her butt a lot. She obviously seems to like stars. She's drawn to stars. It's why she moved to LA. But she wants you to believe
So are you, Candace.
that over
So are
the
you.
course of over 2 decades of her trying to make it, that there were 2 instances where she can now say that she was sex trafficked by her boyfriends, by her more successful.
Patty, the first trafficker when she was 17, was a musician. And then years later, she was trafficked again by an athlete. I understand this is confusing because there were 2 separate instances, but the first one was a musician. The second one was a professional athlete. Nope, this is not true. Show me the evidence. You can't confirm she followed her. You can't confirm that they had private communications either. I'm sorry, you can't confirm that. Just because she didn't show up at a Tesla event. He did a Twitter space. You guys really got to start getting your stories straight, yo. Elon Musk showed up at a Twitter space that Eliza was at. That's it. That's the contact that they had. That's it. Oh, so you're saying that all you have is that Elon Musk showed up at a Twitter space? Got it. And you have no other evidence. Got it. Just like I said.
Boyfriends and people that she met along the way who were trying to help her potentially make it, and now she didn't make it, so it's best to just say that you were sex trafficked. I mean, this is my take. Household debt is soaring, inflation is on the rise, and last year was the worst for stocks since the 2008 financial disaster.
Is this a commercial? No, I'm not watching a Candace commercial. Fuck you,
It's
Candace.
very clear to me what this is. I have a friend who went down this route, honestly, almost a similar story. 18 years old, we left high school. She fell in as a rap video vixen, and these girls get paid nothing. The idea that there was some pimp behind these women when they're doing these things, nope. They usually have an agent. They get paid about $200 for these little appearances, and they're constantly trying to get their name out there, hoping that they're going to have their big break, a la Meghan Markle. Look, she did it. She started out as a suitcase girl. She then went on to Suits to show nobody's heard of, and now she's married to a prince. This is what girls who up and move to LA are all hoping for, right? And if you don't...
She's comparing Eliza Bleu to Meghan Markle because she wants you to think that Eliza Bleu is a lying narcissist fame whore that just would do anything to be famous. There's no reason for Candace to compare Eliza Bleu to Meghan Markle. There's no reason at all. Other than to distract you and try to craft a narrative to disparage and cancel this woman.
Don't have that happen to you, and you suddenly realize that there's a ton of information on the internet that show that you were just a girl that would have done anything to become famous. How sick and disturbing to think that you would then say that you were a victim of human sex trafficking. This is not how these stories look. The idea that a pimp is going to send you on a rap video shoot. What are you making, $200 for the whole day? Maybe if it's a big rap star, $1,000. And if you're the main girl in the video throughout the entire video, $1,500, right? The idea that a pimp is going to send you for those low bits of money and be totally like, yeah, this is what I want you to do. I want to pimp you on rap music videos.
Maybe, Candace, maybe he was using the videos to sell her. Maybe he wanted her in the music videos because he would then take those videos and use them to sell her for higher dollars. Did you ever think of that, Candace? You're a content creator, Candace. You know how this works. Sometimes you do speeches for free because you then get the video of that speech and you can use the video of that speech to sell speeches or to get paid more money or for something else that you consider to be valuable. Is it completely out of the realm of possibility that the person trafficking Eliza took those videos and used them to traffic her to make more money? It is like filming a marketing video. Am I just creating fantasy here? I don't think I am.
Pass the sniff test with me. In fact, there's even a clip of her because she went through a ghetto phase. She actually changes her entire voice. First, she's like, emo girl, black hair, bright blonde hair, changing her hair colors all the time and speaking normal. Then she starts speaking.
So you mean, Candace, that when she started hanging out with different people, she changed her accent? You're suggesting that when she's hanging out with different people, maybe professional athletes, or that one professional athlete that maybe had that, maybe when she was doing all these hip hop videos and she was hanging around people who had that accent, she picked it up like a normal fucking human being? Yep, she's about to say. Candace is really taking all of Blair White's talking points because Candace Owens is literally about to accuse Eliza Bleu of pretending to be black. That's nice of her.
Like Cardi B for a period of her life. She just totally switches how she speaks and she's super ghetto. And this is her world star hip hop base. There's even a clip of her saying that guys were sliding in her DMs and asking to pay her big money to sleep with her, but she turned it down. Here's her in her own words.
What's been your strangest booking?
I wasn't gonna, this is not a video I want to show, but I just want everyone to watch this because she looks like she's fucking on drugs in this video. She looks like she's on drugs in this video. And remember, Eliza has said that she lied repeatedly to protect the person trafficking her. And it is not out of the realm of possibility that Eliza was on drugs when she was in this video and lied.
Request so far?
Oh my God. $150,000 to have sex. I mean, it's a nice offer, but it's not me.
Turned it down.
I did, yeah.
Was it hard for you to turn it down? Did you think about that one for a little bit?
No, it wasn't even a question, no. It's just not my thing,
She looked like she was on drugs. I'm sorry. She looked like she was on drugs. So Candace just compared Eliza to Meghan Markle. She is going to compare Eliza to Kim Kardashian next, I suspect, probably. Yeah. Yes, and when you are on drugs, you will say things that are not necessarily true. I don't know what is so hard to understand about this for you people. I really don't. Eliza has also said that she didn't even recognize herself in that interview because she was on fucking drugs. Multiple people are agreeing with me that she looked like she was on drugs. Now, I know not all of you have done drugs. I know not all of you have been around people who have been on drugs. So you might legitimately not know what it looks like. But she was on fucking drugs in that video. I'm telling you right now. It is so obvious to me. So is it out of the realm of possibility that the person trafficking her gave her drugs to control her, and then, while she was on drugs, she made that video? And by the way, P.S., we know that she said that she routinely lied to protect the person trafficking her because she had Stockholm Syndrome. No, it's not out of the realm of possibility. She was on drugs.
Turned down $150,000 because it wasn't her thing. Does that sound like to you a woman who was being coerced to do anything? Coerced? Your pimp is going to allow you to turn down $150,000? I don't even think I've ever heard of that sort of an offer. Where are they making $150,000 to sleep with somebody for one time? That doesn't even make sense. In fact, recently, I sat down for an interview with Brittany de la Mora. She is a former porn star who is now Christian and really dedicated to the Christian faith. She had a radical awakening. Porn star for 7 years. Kind of a very similar story here. Admits that she was on drugs, admits that she was an escort, and she would talk about nights where she would make $10,000 a night as a porn star that was now hitting the escort circuit. One thing missing from Brittany de la Mora's story is the idea that she was trafficked. She admits that she was an escort. She admits that she made these decisions.
So, Candace, you don't think that different women can have different experiences? Candace is literally saying, well, this one woman said this one thing, and so that must apply to all women.
Out of desperation, and she made these decisions because she was addicted to drugs. And then she found God. And so, great. It's a wonderful story. It's why I wanted to have her on, because she can...
Karen, I think Candace is actually should be named Karen, honestly. That was just my most perfect Freudian slip of all time. Candace Owens really should be named fucking Karen. But I'll call her Candace. Candace, when someone is feeding you drugs to control you, the decisions that you make while they are feeding you drugs to control you are not voluntary. If someone is making sure that you are given mind-altering substances, it is not a voluntary decision.
Talk about the industry. She can talk about the individuals in this industry, but she doesn't try to make herself recast her life as some victim and then try to hit people with copyright infringement things when they dig up her past. No, that's why it doesn't matter that we're not hitting Eliza Bleu because we feel that there's something wrong with a woman who has changed her mind about her lifestyle and wants to be something different. That's an admirable quality. That's just an admirable thing. Any single person that wakes up one day and says, you know what, this is who I was and this is who I want to be today, you should honor that. Transformation is a wonderful thing. I really believe that. What is not transformation is pretending that everything that you did only happened because you were a victim. What is not transformation is getting YouTubers who rely on that money, YouTube creators who rely on that money, who rely on those clicks, who rely on that ad money to have their accounts hit with strikes. That means they could eventually be banned from YouTube because you're ashamed of things that you did consensually. She's now claiming that any person that's sharing anything from her past is digitally raping her.
Yes.
Wow. It sounds like almost a leftist buzzword.
Oh,
You're digitally
Candace, there is a leftist in this scenario. There is absolutely a leftist in this scenario, Candace, but it's not Eliza Bleu. It's the woman you see when you look in the mirror every single day because you never stop being a leftist, Karen. I almost said Karen again. You never stop being a leftist, Candace. You just changed teams. Your career was started when you created a doxing website and was raising money to dox people. You never stopped being a leftist, Candace. You just changed teams.
Raping me if you show this remarkable 2-decade career I had selling myself for anything, just wanting to be famous. What a music video, I'll do it. Blind date, I'll do it. What do you want me on? I'll do it for any money. This is what girls that go to Hollywood do. It's a typical LA Hollywood story of a girl who did not make it is actually how it ends. In fact, on her own YouTube page, because she started one during the period in which she had, been sexually trafficked by a boyfriend. She started one and she has a video of herself calling her mom excitedly to tell her that she was in a rap video. Take a listen.
Hello? Hey, Mom, what are you doing?
I just got off work. Got calling you.
Does she? I'm sorry. I'm gonna suspect again that I'm gonna come out of this saying it looks like she's on fucking drugs. Look at her eyes. She looks like she's on drugs.
Tried to call and he sent me a text message, but I was trying to call you back.
Well, yeah, I was just calling you because I wanted to get your feedback and see what you thought about me being in music videos.
Being in a music video?
Yeah, about
She
me
looks
being
like
in
she's on
music
drugs.
videos. You know how I started being in music videos and I started a blog about it.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely. You could just see the pimp being like, call your mom. Call your mom and tell her that you're doing videos. It's very weird that pimps would not want to completely isolate the individual away from their friends and family. That's a typical human sex trafficking.
Google Stockholm Syndrome, you dumb fucking cunt. Maybe I should just, let's just skip over Karen for Candace. Let's just skip over that. I'm just going to start calling Candace dumb fucking cunt. Does anyone have any objection? I know some people don't like it when I swear. And cunt is like the big one. But Candace Owens is a dumb fucking cunt.
Story. It requires some level of isolation. Usually you don't have a great relationship with your mom, your Christian mom and your Christian father, who you're allowed to see whenever you want over the course of these decades. So what this really is and what this really represents is a woman who failed. She failed at everything. And what women do, and I've seen this happen over and over again in this movement when they fail at everything, is that they just repurpose themselves as victims. By the way, she has, when she rebranded as a person who was going to help inform Twitter policy, she's rebranded herself as somebody on the right who is passionate about free speech.
Eliza Bleu is not on the right. Eliza Bleu is an anarcho-capitalist. Unlike you, Candace, Eliza Bleu is not pretending to be a conservative. She is an anarcho-capitalist. I had a conversation with Eliza Bleu in 2021 in which she told me she was an anarcho-capitalist. This is not new information. She is not a conservative. She has never said she's a conservative. She is an anarcho-capitalist. I love it when you swear. Keep up the fucking work. Thank you, Kino. I appreciate that.
She actually once tweeted this. A journalist asked her about that video, of course, because it's extremely relevant. You're turning down a...
The journalist in question here is Shane Cashman, who Candace has refused to name in this entire video, even though Candace made a big point at the beginning of crediting the brave YouTubers who came out and did these smear pieces that Candace took all of her talking points from. She named all of them. She wanted people to be She's like, I feel very strongly that YouTubers should get credit for their work. This is from Shane Cashman's article. I know this is from Shane Cashman's article because we read this earlier on this stream.
$150,000 and you're a sex trafficking victim. And here's what she had to say about it. She said, quote, I look at those videos and I see that I'm drunk.
She is Candace is literally about to read the part where Eliza Bleu is like, I was on drugs in those videos. She's going to make fun of it. Watch what happens. She's going to make fun of it.
Possibly high, not myself. I'm not the same person that's sitting here right now. I see those videos as a legit cry for help. Do I know if I was trafficked that day? I don't know. But something was going on behind the scenes. I have also repeatedly admitted that I had full-blown Stockholm Syndrome. I was never in chains. I actually went to the police department a few times in multiple places to try to report stuff.
Candace, didn't you say earlier in this video that Eliza never went to the police? And now you're literally reading a clip from an article that you refused to reference by name saying, I went to the police.
I was never welcomed with open arms. But at the same time, I was running cover for my abuser. If someone's in a Christmas picture with your husband, you think then that everything must have been fine at home. It's absurd. They can all say whatever they want. I've been completely transparent about the fact that I had extreme trauma bonds with my former abuser. I'm sorry, what? What do you what does that even mean? So you're basically saying, no, I wasn't sexually trafficked. Well, I was, but I was abused. Well, okay.
No, she has never said she wasn't sexually trafficked, Candace. You just made that up to mock her because you literally read the section of the interview where she says she was on drugs. She says she had Stockholm syndrome. She said she went to the police. And now you have to mock her because that piece of information is not convenient for the story that you are trying to sell your retarded audience. I'm sorry, I shouldn't call Candace's audience retarded, but if you continue to watch Candace Owens after this, you are a fucking retard. Unless you're hate watching her, unless you're doing something like this where you're picking apart every single fucking lie this dumb fucking cunt tells. Unless you're doing it for that reason, it is completely unacceptable to ever interact with these people. I'm sorry. This is one of the most evil things I've ever seen in my life. The internet is raking a victim of human trafficking over the coals. They are acting self-righteous when they're doing it. They are ignoring all evidence. And they are pretending that this is an issue that they care about. They're showing you exactly and precisely how much they care about it when they are victimizing a victim of human trafficking for weeks on end, calling her a whore, calling her a liar, calling her every possible name that they can call her, doing their best to destroy everything that she's done.
I was turning down $150,000 while I was in this relationship with my abuser. But like also, because I thought we were in a relationship is why I was turning it down. And also I went to the police. I tried to go to the police, whatever that means. The police didn't invite me, or they didn't welcome me with open arms. But I was also running cover for my abuser at
yes,
the police
Candace,
station.
All those things can be true, you dumb fucking cunt.
Go to, but they didn't welcome me with open arms. Listen, whatever. The point is, I had Stockholm syndrome. And none of this is making any sense.
It makes
and
perfect
if I was
sense.
A respectable journalist, I would have pushed back on everything.
Well, you're not a respectable journalist. I appreciate you, dumb fucking cunt, that you admitted that you are not a credible journalist or a respectable journalist. I really do appreciate that, Candace. Thank you for clearing all that up for us. You are not a respectable journalist.
Everything that she said, because it makes entirely no sense. If he was in fact your abuser, if you were Stockholm syndrome and he was sex trafficking you, why would he not make you get $150,000 that you were being offered? Oh, you don't know. I don't know. I see his videos. I just see a cry for help.
She was probably
I see a cry for help. That's all I can say. I think that there is a special place in hell for women that false accuse. I have hit this
I think there is a special place in hell for dumb fucking cunts like Candace Owens who smear real victims of human trafficking on the internet. I don't even believe hell exists. But if hell did exist, there would be a special place for Candace Owens and Blair White and Brittany Venti and Chrissy Mayer and the Quartering and everyone else that is jumping onto this grift train to make money by raking a real victim of human trafficking over the coals for weeks on end for your own entertainment. There is a special place in hell for you, Candace.
Drum over and over and over again, and it will continue to be a beat that I do because it's so nauseating to me to consider that any woman could do this, that any woman could do this for fame, that you could recast your life and your poor life choices as human sex trafficking. And if you are like me and you attend these annual galas where these women who actually have been sexually trafficked hit the stage and tell their harrowing tales, when you hear their moments of freedom, when you hear how it happened to them, when you hear how they were sold over and over again, when you hear how they were cut off, how they were isolated, how they had no friends and they had no family, when you hear how they were forced drugged, you don't hear about them trying out for American Idol. It's just such a nonsense. And then I tried out for American Idol. But I don't know exactly the timeline that I tried out for American Idol, But then I went back. I can't remember exactly when I was sex trafficked, but yeah, I was talking to my mom and my dad. These are not the stories of sex trafficking victims. When you hear these stories and you cannot listen to these stories without crying, and then you come across someone like Eliza Bleu and you realize that she's made it all the way to Elon Musk and that she's online collecting money for what? Get this, ready? For vacation, because she's so exhausted as a survivor doing hard work that she's creating GoFundMes for $2,500, $10,000, a couple $1,000 so she can go on vacation and relax. Her life has been a vacation, if you ask me. Her life, she hasn't done anything. So my suggestion to Eliza Bleu is that she gets a job and that she stops threatening YouTube creators. Maybe she should start a YouTube channel where she talks about all of these things that she did and all the famous people that she met in Los Angeles while she was busy not having a job and hoping that she was going to land a rich, famous person. Maybe she should talk about that athlete that she dated, sell stories of him. People do that. It's a more respectable job. Why don't you start an OnlyFans? It's more respectable. All of this is a more respectable job than harnessing the real pain and suffering that some women go through, women and men go through, when their entire lives are stolen from them and they have no way out because they are being sexually trafficked. Honestly, Eliza Bleu, Eliza Knows, Eliza Stephen, Eliza Morthland, whatever it is that you're going by this week or the next, there is a special place in hell for women like you.
Candace, there is a very special place in hell for dumb fucking cunts like you who tell victims of human trafficking to start an OnlyFans. If anyone is under any delusion that the Daily Wire is the home of conservative values, that the Daily Wire is the home of good and righteous and pure journalism, let's just all dispense of that right now. Because one of the shining stars of the Daily Wire just told a victim of human trafficking to start an OnlyFans. Let's not pretend that this is the side of moral purity or justice or empathy. They are no better than the left. Candace Owens never stopped being a leftist. She is still that woman that raised money to start a doxing site. And now she's graduated. She's making millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to tell victims of human trafficking to start an OnlyFans. Stunning and brave, Candace. Stunning and brave, you dumb fucking cunt. And I'm sorry for people that had to hear me swear during that, but I cannot. That was disgusting. What is happening to Eliza Bleu is evil. This is evil. And it's not going to stop. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep doing this. This has probably been the worst day yet. It's been going on for weeks.